Today we're looking at a presentation by Alex Hitler O'Connor.
It's because you don't need to use a leather wallet for any kind of health reason, let alone promote it to millions of people. But as I continued looking into
Who uses a non-vegan wallet that was made by ripping the skin off a cow who never wanted to die?
that was Alex O'Connor, formerly known as Cosmic Skeptic. He was a passionate ethical vegan for multiple years until he said he had to stop being vegan for reasons related to finding it difficult to practically maintain a healthy plant-based diet.
Alex O'Connor, you're a piece of shit. I hope you yourself turn into a non-vegan wallet.
Ah, well, we know who that was. Unfortunately, that was Alex, so he gets 1 point for that. Who promoted a wallet that comes from the skin of a murdered cow? Well, it wasn't Danny, it was Alex. Alex Hitler O'Connor.
Love you.
Hey, what's good, guys? So, that vegan teacher has decided to go deep on Alex O'Connor. You know, the guy who she blew a kiss to and made us all throw up.
Alex O'Connor, you're a piece of shit. I hope you yourself turn into a non-vegan wallet. Love you.
Yeah, I'm that guy. So she has decided to compare him to a current vegan influencer. I've seen this guy before. She's featured him on her channel before, and I forgot his name. I'm gonna see it shortly because I gotta watch some of these clips again. But this dude, he does this whole like, it's like, oh, who said this or who did this, and it's his name versus Alex's name, and obviously she's just talking out her ass, talking hella shit about Alex because he used to be vegan and then he decided, you know what, my health is more important than this bullshit, and then they dropped the veganism and now he eats steak, and he also sells wallets made of animal skin, and she ain't happy about it, to say the least. So let's just jump right into it.
Now it's time for today's I'm a Wimpy Coward test. Let's see who wins. Hello students, welcome to class. I'm Miss Katie, that vegan teacher. Today we're looking at a presentation by Alex Hitler O'Connor and Danny Vegan Ishay.
Oh, looks like we're starting off strong. Already the Hitler comment, huh? Couldn't wait 20 seconds into this video before calling him Hitler. Wow, that is just bizarre. Guys, remember, if you're not vegan, you're Hitler. Like, there's just no debate about it. Also, I think you should change his name from Danny Vegan Ishay to Danny Pussy Ishay. I think that's just a little bit more fitting.
There are 10 questions here, and as you can see, both names are here, Alex and Danny. And all the way to the bottom, you see the final score. So let's see what the score is between these two students. Let's start watching.
That was until today's sponsor, Extra, sent me a replacement. This is the Wallet Pro. It holds up to 14 individual cards.
So I'm going to do my best to try and make this civil. If you're unfamiliar with who that was Alex O'Connor, formerly known as Cosmic Skeptic. He was a passionate ethical vegan for multiple years until he said he had to stop being vegan for reasons related to finding it difficult to practically maintain a healthy plant-based diet.
Oh yes, I'm not sure if everybody remembers that, but he lied to the vegan community saying that he cared about animals, and then he suddenly started to randomly eat them. It was very bizarre.
Girl, who are you trying to fool? Like, who are you trying to lie to right now? You're over here saying that he lied about caring about animals. I bet you he cares way more about animals than you ever have. And let me just prove it with just a few statements. Vegan teacher claims to care about animals so much, right, that she doesn't want sheep to be shorn, which, because of how sheep have been domestically bred into this world for thousands of years as companions, as livestock for humans, they tend to grow way too much wool than they can handle. And as a result, shearing that sheep is a necessity for them to be able to live their lives healthily, because otherwise they overheat, they get bug infestations, and they suffer in ways that you can't even imagine. So shearing that wool off the sheep is a kindness from the humans. If they didn't do that, you'd have some very, very sad, tortured sheep. Two, she doesn't want dairy cows to be milked. Similar problem to the sheep. Bred for hundreds of thousands of years by humans. Domesticated. Produce way too much milk for their offspring to consume. If humans don't milk them, then they get infections. Too much milk inside them will literally kill them. They're gonna suffer in ways, again, that you can't even imagine, but you don't want that because you don't actually care about the cows. You don't actually care about the sheep. Bees, same thing. Overproduce honey. At least the domestic, like the ones that, you know, are on bee farms and stuff. Overproduce honey. The honey will grow bacteria and other things that actually harms the hive immensely. And it's actually very nice for the human wants to come by and take away the excess honey so that doesn't happen. You don't want humans to take the honey. You want the bees to suffer. You don't care about animals.
Besides that, he does think that plant-based diets can be healthy, but for him personally, he had trouble maintaining one.
My problem is not with the idea that every nutrient that's required to be healthy can be found in a plant-based diet. I think that it can. My problem is with the practicability of maintaining it for myself.
So when I saw him promoting the extra
Okay,
wallet
so yeah, that was a very interesting thing too. I'm remembering that now. Alex thought that it was too hard to find a grocery store to buy blueberries and oats and broccoli and pasta. He didn't know how to find a jar of peanut butter and some bread. It was very bizarre times.
So let me start this off by saying, if you haven't seen my Earthling Ed video from yesterday, and you want to know in greater detail about why veganism literally isn't fit for the majority of people, I did go into a little bit of detail about that in that video. You can catch up on that, or you could also make sure you're subscribed and wait for the full veganism debunking video, which will be coming sometime this month. Because I want to emphasize something important. He was saying that it was difficult for him to maintain his health on a vegan diet, but he also says that people can be healthy. The emphasis on the word can, because the truth is, whether or not veganism is going to work for you, or if it's going to be extremely challenging or not, comes down to your genetics. And the reason for that is some people can't metabolize or can't absorb nutrients from plants in the same way that other people can. Now I'll just give kind of an analogy, for instance, like because of the fact that, you know, I have a lot more melanin in my skin, I don't get sunburned very easily. I've never been sunburned. I've been out in 110-degree heat and I've never been sunburned. My wife, on the other hand, who has basically no melanin, has had more sunburns than either of us can count. That's just an example of how people's bodies are different. This also applies to your gut biome, your body's ability to convert certain vitamins from plants and use them. There's a whole list of things as to why veganism can be extremely difficult or even impossible for certain people versus some others who might have an easier time. Now, real quick, I actually, I'm not vegan, but I don't eat dairy, like any dairy products, because I don't really like milk. So I don't really like cheese or any of that. I just avoid it. I'm lactose intolerant too, so I just avoid that stuff. And then the only meat I really eat right now is chicken, because the only other thing I'm usually willing to eat is maybe turkey sometimes, and certain types of fish, but the type of fish I want isn't available where I live, so I don't eat it. So because of that, I've actually started taking supplements myself. Some D3, some iron, amino acids, B12, and this one's my favorite because it's in the form of gummies, but it's elderberries with vitamin C, D, and zinc. Now, it's not because I'm necessarily deficient on any of these. I might be a little bit deficient on iron. I have been in the past, particularly when I was vegetarian. But I just think that it's a good idea just in case, because of the fact that I don't eat much meat. And I do feel like I experienced some symptoms that I've had in the past when I had like iron deficiency. And it's possible that maybe even B12, because like my memory hasn't been as good lately. I think omega-3 can help with that too, and I think my wife has some, so I'm probably gonna start taking that too. The point is, your health is so important. You only get, you know, one life as far as we're concerned, and it's better to make sure that you live a long, healthy, beautiful life the way that you want to. And yeah, that's gonna come at the expense of some dairy cows and some farm animals and stuff. It will, because the vast majority of people are going to struggle immensely to be genuinely healthy and live a long, healthy life on a vegan diet. And nutritionists have even said this, the vast majority of nutritionists do not recommend a vegan diet for most people. But this is the world that we live in. Humans have evolved to be omnivores, which means that we're not particularly excellent at either side of the spectrum, whether it's plant-based foods or if it's processing meats. We're not herbivores that have those really long digestive systems that are very, very proficient at breaking down all plant matter and turning it into nutrients for us. We don't have that level. We have something in the middle because we've, for millions of years, have pulled from both meats, animal products, and plants. So naturally, it makes sense that you're gonna need to continue to pull from both to continue to be as healthy as possible. We're just not designed for one side of the spectrum or the other, we're designed for both. And being vegan just simply rejects your body chemistry, and then you have to take all these fucking supplements. And even I, like I said, as a non-vegan who just doesn't eat much meat, feels like it's necessary to take a handful of supplements, and that's just not realistic for everyone, especially if you are truly actually vegan. Because I still get B12 and I still get actual real vitamin A, from the meat and the dairy, or not dairy, the eggs and stuff like that I eat. There's certain things on a vegan diet that you just are not getting at all unless you're getting it from these fucking pills. And it's not your position as a vegan cult member, like this Danny guy or vegan teacher, to tell somebody that they're wrong for choosing them, for choosing animals that were literally raised for hundreds of thousands of years to provide food for our species. You're a fucking lunatic.
It's because you don't need to use a leather wallet for any kind of health reason, let alone promote it to millions of people. But as I continued looking into
That is a very good point. Very good. Now, Danny here, Danny Ishay, he is a vegan. So let's have a look over here at our first question. All right, between Alex and Danny, who uses a non-vegan wallet that was made by ripping the skin off a cow who never wanted to die? Ah, well, we know who that was. Unfortunately, that was Alex. So he gets 1 point for that.
Painting it for myself.
So when I saw him promoting the Extra Wallet Pro, I was a little bit confused because you don't need to use a leather wallet for any kind of health reason, let alone promote it to millions of people. But as I continued looking into this got even more confusing given Alex's views on factory farming.
I still want to see the end of factory farming as soon as possible.
I looked into Extra to find out where they source their leather from, and I found out they source it from Echo or EC.
Okay, let's have a look now right away to the next point here. We have a question here that says, who promoted a wallet that comes from the skin of a murdered cow? Well, it wasn't Danny. It was Alex. Alex Hitler O'Connor. What about the next one here? Who contributes to factory farming? Well, it's not Danny. It is Alex. Even though he says he's against it, he literally pays for it and advertises it.
We're gonna stop here because, you know, it's nothing more than just typical vegan teacher horseshit tag teaming with this Danny guy. Now, here's the thing. You don't get to dictate someone's life. You don't get to dictate what they promote. The truth is, the harsh truth is, vast majority of farming, as far as animal agriculture goes, is factory farming. It's not even close. So pretty much anything he promotes that is animal product related is going to be coming back to some factory farms. And the problem is, though, there is still a misconception about factory farms that these vegans like to make. There are factory farms that are quite terrible. However, they also use hyperbole and they use words like they torture and they abuse and they do all these things to these animals, which is not true for the majority of factory farms even. I know that might come as a shock to you because you guys have been fed a lot of vegan propaganda that says that it is true. And then a lot of people resort to this like, well, I try not to support factory farms. Not all farms are like factory farms, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when factory farms are the vast majority. What's important to know is that what they are saying about the factory farms is a load of hot bullshit. Now, I will say one thing that is very true about factory farms that is unfortunate is that the vast majority of them do not give their animals much space. They are confined to very, very small spaces for most of their lives, which is sad that they're not able to, you know, roam around a lot like, you know, you see with free-range farms. And that is unfortunate. That is something that fucking sucks, admittedly. And yes, we contribute to that immensely with every animal product we purchase unless we're getting it from like a free-range farm, which most people aren't. And the issue is there's almost nothing that can really be done about that because animal agriculture already takes up so much land as it is, and then to try to open it up so that all these animals have free range is just unrealistic. So as non-vegans, you do have to accept that these animals don't get to live very great lives in factory farms, and that's the harsh reality of it. But when they talk about how animals are killed, that's when they really start to lie, because then they try to paint this picture that all factory farms like torture their animals and do horrible things to them. In the United States, at the very least, I can't speak for all other countries, but for the United States, we do have laws that protect animals against any unnecessary suffering. Now, I know there's gonna be some vegans that want to chime in here, but you kill them. How's that not unnecessary? Well, they have to die. It's that simple. For us to get our beef patties and chicken fillets, they gotta die. The regulations ensure that these animals are killed in the most humane way possible, most painless way possible. And I've seen plenty of videos proving that. But they never really show you guys that. Granted, Tosh Peterson does sometimes shout it. They are shot in the head. And she's kind of right. They do have like the most traditional method is like a blow to the head thing. It's not a gun, but it's like an electric thing or something along those lines that puts them out really fast. And sometimes it doesn't work. And so those animals sometimes will have to suffer more than others, but it's rare. But even despite this, the vegans still benefit immensely from factory farms, because guess what's fertilizing their fucking plants? Manure from the cows and other animals shitting on the ground at these exact same farms. Let me just say this to the vegans: if you want to be truly completely ethical, right, and not benefit from factory farming, then you need to go live out in the outback like Freely the Banana Girl. You need to go do what Gaz does. You need to go grow your own foods and survive off the land yourself, so that you are not profiting, you are not benefiting in any way, shape, or form from any sort of animal exploitation, because you right now, as it is, are dependent on the same things we are when it comes to factory farming. Take that shit out of the equation and you don't even get your fruits and vegetables and all that stuff. Even like if it's not coming from factory farms, I mean, even though fish, it's like they say it's like 99.9% or something like that coming from factory farms, there's certain organic foods, well, because I'm sure that's what the vegans are probably thinking right now. It's like, well, I eat organic food, so it's not the same thing. Well, guess what? Organic foods require certain resources from fish, I don't remember exactly what it is, to be fertilized too. The vast majority of them. So you're still benefiting from the deaths of fish for your organic produce. Now, this is for all the non-vegans who have probably made it this far in this video and might be feeling a little bit guilty at the realization that they're benefiting from factory farms, and factory farms fucking suck. I don't think anybody should feel bad. Like, yes, you can feel bad for the animals, but I wouldn't feel bad necessarily for indirectly benefiting from factory farms, because what's the alternative really? Like, yeah, you can go to a local farm, sure, if you have access to it, and not everybody does. Not even most people have access to a local farm that they can just source their meat from. The vast majority of people don't have a choice but to benefit from factory farming. But what's the alternative to that? You go pick up a hunting rifle and go start killing animals yourself, go back to hunting? No, this is how humans have evolved. This is evolution. This is nature. Humans are a part of nature, as much as people want to reject that. And our methodology for making sure that we're fed, while significantly more advanced than a tiger or a lion, it's still our evolutionary adaptation to the core of it. Tigers and lions got big claws and big teeth and stealth and hunting instincts and stuff like that, and that's how they make sure their species survive. We don't have that shit. All we have are these big ass fucking brains and dexterous hands. And to make sure the human race survives, this is what we've done. And it's nobody's fault today. Our history could have been different. We could have gone down different routes. We could have never domesticated animals. Had we not done those things, though, we wouldn't be the same species that we are. It's because of all these things that we've done in our history that we are able to be the humans that we are. And I think it's a beautiful thing if people want to reduce how much impact they have. And I think it would be nice if the vast majority of people are like, you know what, maybe I won't eat as much beef, or maybe I won't eat as much chicken, or maybe I won't eat as much duck, or whatever it is, you know, whatever meat sources that you eat. And if people reduce their consumption of it by 30, 40, 50%, you know, over time, you know, maybe these animals could get more space because there's less demand for them. There's less demand for this high processing bullshit. And these animals ultimately possibly could have better lives, you know, if the demand changed. There's no telling if it ever would, or how things would change, but it seems to me like if you needed 50, 60% less animals at a factory farm, then they might be able to give them some more space, you know, give them better lives overall. And even though the vegans wouldn't be happy about that because they just don't want animals to be exploited at all, there's plenty of people that could and would feel better, and ultimately it's a net positive, because at the end of the day, these animals actually get to live better lives, and as somebody that actually cares about animals, I think that's a win. Anyway, I apologize for giving the grim facts about factory farming and farming in general, but that would make me a fucking hypocrite if I didn't. Because I'm always talking about this stuff and these vegans and defending non-vegans and everything, but then debunking, you know, their bullshit. But it's also important to also talk about the other side of the reality too, which is something they won't do, but I will. Till next time.